everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to set up the valve train on our small block Chevy. Let's do it.
Time is an illusion. What's the meaning of freedom? Everybody wants to be one. Just try to remember to keep on trucking. Listen to the silence like infinite horizons. Future like a rerun. Standing on the verge of a new history. You go, I go, we go together. You go, I go, we go together. Everything extraordinary. Nothing stops us, always moving. You go, I go, we go together. When we're deep dreaming, maps are not needed. Stick to believing, wishing on every star in the sky. What are you feeling when the motorbike's speeding? Love is the beacon, washing over us like a sunset daydream. You go, I go, we go together. You go, I go, we go together. Everything extraordinary. Nothing stops us, always moving. You go, I go, we go together.
Alright, so what I've done is I've installed all my roller lifters. I've got all my rocker studs installed, torqued, and what I had to do was make sure that with these plates there's some side-to-side movement, up and down movement. So I put the rocker arm on, get it real close to zero lash, and then I get down and I look at the tip of the valve compared to the roller itself and make sure that they're lined up. Okay, get them as straight as I can with this plate, this guide plate being loose. At which point then I very carefully remove the rocker and poly lock, set them right here, and I proceed to, I already put thread sealant on the rocker stud on all of them, even though you only need them on the intakes. I already put thread sealant on the rocker stud. So now all I have to do is, now that my guide plate is set side to side, up and down where I want it to be, torque it. 50 to 55 foot-pounds is what AFR asks for. I set them at 51 foot-pounds, and then you're good to go. All I did was proceeded to put all the rest of them on, got them all set up so that the shafts are torqued and the guide plates are centered so that the roller tip, the roller rocker on the valve is perfectly in line with the valve stem. So they're not like cranked off to one side or the other because of the guide plate and the push rod. I just took out my valve checking springs, replace them with the proper valve springs. Now I get to put these back on, which all the rocker studs have engine oil on them. I'm gonna leave them loose. Everything's got engine oil already on it. Not a lot, but I'm gonna take care of that here in a minute after they're all adjusted. So side to side is good. That's what you want. Up and down would be zero lash. And we don't want to push on the plunger. All right. So now that they're all on, okay, everything's on, everything's loose. None of the I mean, some of them are on different strokes, so there's a little bit of play, but when they were installed with the valve all the way, or the lifter all the way down the valley, they were all loose. So they're all going to be loose when we get to the adjustment procedure. All right, so we got our 3/16 Allen hex key, whatever you want to call it, and we have 9/16 wrench. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch, this is my intake, this is my exhaust, okay? I'm going to watch my exhaust open. As soon as my exhaust starts to open, I know I'll be on the base circle of my intake, and I'll adjust my intake. You know, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2 firing order. So I'm going to go from this one to this one, right? To this one, to this one. 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. Pretty easy. So I'm going to rotate my crank over until I watch my exhaust just start to open. Once my exhaust just starts to open, I'm going to adjust my intake. Ready? Here we go. Exhaust. Just starts to open. I know I'm on my base circle of my intake. It's that easy. Okay. So again, my rocker studs are already all torqued, thread sealant and torqued. 51 foot-pounds is from 50 to 55 is the spec per AFR, who creates the head and sells the rocker studs and guide plates with it. So it's up to them. So 0 lash. Also, I'm making sure that these rockers have enough movement in the slot. Like if you flip it over, there's a slot, elongated hole in the bottom of this rocker arm. I've already verified that max lift. It's got plenty of movement, plenty of range, plenty of clearance. So here I have lash. I'm moving my push rod up and down. I'm not twisting it. I don't like that. So I'm moving it up and down, and I'm going to slowly start to turn my poly lock in until I have just at 0 lash, which is right about there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my poly lock, okay, my poly lock. I'm going to put my wrench on there. Moved it just a little bit, so I don't like using a gear wrench. Okay, so I'm straight up and down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to depress the plunger in the hydraulic lifter by turning this an additional half a turn. I'm going to go to about the 5 o'clock position. Okay, now that I'm at the 5 o'clock position, I said a half a turn, but I'm going to go to the 5 o'clock position because that's where I want to be. I'm going to go in with my lock, which is a center set screw, which is a 3/16 Allen. Okay. I went down just with my fingers until it bottomed out onto the top of the rocker stud. Okay. So that's that part. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Allen key and my wrench together, and I'm going to go another quarter turn, okay, or to the 6 o'clock position. Now our poly lock is locked down. I have the proper depth set on my plunger and my lifter. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm adjusting my intakes right now, so I'm watching my exhaust just start to open. This is number 8. Okay, so I'm going to be adjusting this. I'm going to be adjusting this one right here. This is my number 8 intake valve. Okay, it gets kind of confusing, but if you just take it step by step, you won't miss any and everything will be just fine. So it fires every 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm gonna take my crank and I'm gonna spin it until I watch this exhaust valve right here just start to open, just like I did with this one. Okay, it's every 90 degrees, so I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna crank it over. Right there, just started to open. I know I'm on my base circle of my intake on this one right here. Okay, this is my intake. I know I'm on the base circle. So once again, got my tools. I'm gonna adjust my poly lock down until I don't have any up and down. Which is right about there. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna go to the 5 o'clock position. Well, I don't like that at all. Okay, 0 lash. I'm going to go to the 5 o'clock position. Okay, I'm going to run this in till it just bottoms out on the top of the rocker stud right there. I'm going to take both of my wrenches together. I'm just going to snug it right at 6. Okay, this one's set. Boom. All right, so what's the next step? Put it down in the comments if you want. What's the next step? One, 8, 4. So this is my number 4 cylinder. We're going to keep it simple. My intake valve is what I'm adjusting. Therefore, I'm going to watch my exhaust just start to open. Okay, this is the one I'm adjusting right here, intake. I know it's my intake because it's lined up perfectly with the intake valve that I can see in my intake opening right there. Okay, so I'm going to watch this exhaust. This is what I'm concerned about. Again, it fires every 90 degrees. So I'm going to turn my crank 90 degrees. I'm going to watch my exhaust just start to open. Boom. Exhaust just started to open. You see where that machined line is just above the lifter bore. That means my exhaust is just starting to open. Right here's one I'm adjusting. Grab my tools. So I'm going up and down. I'm not spinning my push rod because you can do that with these plungers anyway, okay? Even when they're set correctly. So I'm going up until I have no up and down. Right there. Okay? So I'm going to go 5 o'clock. Turning my lock screw down. Okay? And then I'm going to finish it off by going 6 o'clock with my wrench. That's it. Locked in. Alright, so this is number 4. 1, 8, 4. What's the next one? 3. So this is 3. Remember, odd, even. 1, 8, 4, 3. Okay, so the number 3 intake valve is the one I'm going to be adjusting. So which one am I looking at? Which one am I concerned about on my 90-degree revolution of the crankshaft? Like my Crocs and my socks? Yep. Which one am I worried about here? I'm worried about my exhaust. When it just starts to open. Okay. Crank it over. 90 degrees. Boom. Exhaust lifter just off the bore. I'm going to adjust the intake on my number 3 cylinder, which is right here. Okay. Up and down is what I'm after. As soon as I feel it go away, no more up and down movement. This wrench is locking up on me. I don't like it. Five o'clock. See, go backwards. I'm gonna lube this thing. All right, starting over because it's a pain in the butt with my wrench. I don't like using this wrench at all. It doesn't even have a bend to it, so when I try to go over, it's not right. All right, intake number 3. Up and down movement, just gone. Right there. Down on my poly lock. I'm going to the 5 o'clock position. Right there. Finger tight. Take both my wrenches together. It was at this point I knew I had f***ed up. Well guys, my SD card was full. What a bummer. So as I thought I was recording the entire valve adjustment process, we didn't get to see any of the exhaust. So I apologize about that, but I didn't even realize it until I had been way further along because I never checked the videos. Rookie mistake on my part, won't happen again. Nonetheless, we can talk about how we adjusted the exhaust valves. You've seen me adjust the intake valves on a few cylinders using the EOIC method. So as the exhaust was opening, we adjusted our intake. Therefore, when our intake valve starts to close, we adjust the exhaust with the same half of turn preload on our hydraulic valve lifter. Starting with the number 1 cylinder, working through the firing order, 90 degrees of crankshaft revolution at a time. Well guys, I really hope that this video gave you a little more insight on how to set up the valve train on a small block Chevy. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching my videos. God bless you, and remember, if Doug can do it, you can do it.